It's been a very long journey up to this point to get the best version of the Fallen from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. This character has had a very weird toy history. Very weird toy history. And I almost feel like they just kept doing the bare minimum when it came to this character because you could just keep selling it to people over and over again. Today we're going to talk about that because we got our very first look of our studio series Revenge of the Fallen leader class, the Fallen figure. This comes courtesy of DC Inside. They managed to get a copy of this. I don't know if it's 100% complete, so we'll keep that in mind when we have this discussion here today and when we look at the images. The images that you're probably looking at are about as large as they get because it's one little blurry image and they kind of put, a stamp on it and stuff. So it is what it is. Let's jump into that. So, the funny thing with The Fallen is when that character first debuted in 2009, that incarnation, obviously there was a Fallen character before that. It was part of the War Within comics, and he had a Titanium's toy, part of the original 13. We learned about that whole story. When we got to the 2009 movie, we had this new design for The Fallen. At the time, assuming it was all the same continuity, at least when it came to the original 13, that's a whole other discussion. So this design had a very weird kind of evolution. The first time we really learned about The Fallen was through some of the prequel comics that we got through IDW, and then Burger King did a toy that kind of homaged that prequel comic where it's like, it's The Fallen, and he's trapped in a Decepticon logo, and then he, transforms, and that was kind of our first ever Fallen figure of that version. But then we got the retail releases of the movie toys themselves, and it was this weird amalgam of what is the best version. Because you had that Voyager Class 1 that was supposed to be the standard one, but the design of that Voyager class was based off of the early character models of the Fallen. Much like how a lot of those early 2007 movie toys, the sculpt of the heads of Bumblebee and Optimus were not 100% how they looked in the movie's character models and the CG models, because they were based on the early incarnations of developing that movie and that design. And The Fallen was no different with this movie that was rushed in a lot of ways. People have to understand, too, with Revenge of the Fallen, the movie. So that first Voyager class, which really was the standard and got repainted a bunch of times, really wasn't the best example. But it told us, hey, the Fallen transforms, and even though that wasn't really something we were able to enjoy in the movie. Up to this point, before this release, you really had very few Fallen toys that you could fall on. The best transformable one that really looked like the movie in terms of the coloring and everything, unfortunately, was like the Legends scale one. The Legends class one from 2009. Small little Fallen figure, very cute and very accurate, but I mean, also the limitations of that price point. Some could argue even the robot replica that doesn't transform is the best Fallen figure up to that point, which also came out in 2009. It's a non-transformable Revoltech level kind of figure, about, I want to say, 6 inches to 5 inches tall, and it looked pretty good. Looked pretty good. Unfortunately, it did not come with his staff, though, so that was kind of one of the weaknesses with that Revoltech one. Oh, not Revoltech, Robot Replica one. And then in 2010, we got the much more sculpted accurate. They took that Voyager scale one that was repainted like crazy and got all these weird colors, and then they repainted it and retooled it, and they made the Fallen that was part of the Transformers 2010 movie line, which had that kind of bluish purpley kind of color scheme with the light blue accents. It had the brand new head sculpt that actually not only was a brand new head sculpt, but it was a removable face. So you had the skeleton of the Fallen under it. It came with a battle staff. And up to that point, people could argue that was the best Fallen figure, but its biggest, downfall, no pun intended, was that it wasn't colored properly. It was this weird color scheme. And we just assumed back in 2010, one day Hasbro's going to give us the better color scheme. They're just doing this so you buy the mold and then you get the better colors later. And then years passed and nothing happened. Then, before we even had Studio Series, Japan did a Transformers The Best line, which was they would take some of those old molds and they would give them a better color scheme that's more screen accurate. And we assume the Fallen sooner or later will probably be added to that. And there was discussions to use that Fallen mold from the 2010 line. Nothing happened. And that was that. And then we were in this weird purgatory, just nothing. Maybe we're just never going to get the Fallen. And then the trademark expired. And then Hasbro started using Megatronus instead. And we're like, ooh, this isn't looking good. They don't even want to use the Fallen anymore. But we're here today. The Fallen is re-trademarked as a trademark under the Hasbro emblem. It is going to be part of the Studio Series line. It is going to be in that leader class price point. The modern leader class price point today, the MSRP as of 2022 is $55.99. Obviously, give or take depending on your retailer. And we have this image today from DC Inside. So from what we could see, it's obviously pretzeled up and mistransformed. We see that he does have a removable face gimmick also. The head sculpt looks fantastic on that battle mask, if you want to call it that, his removable face. It's all the right colors. It uses the right orange paint hits to get all those orange parts on his body, but the blue teal on his face with his little mane there. He also has his under face, which is painted very nicely too. He has these two little ball-jointed pieces here, which I assume are going to probably attach to his legs and will be part of the transformation to make the jet mode, the Cybertronian jet mode. And because this is obviously stolen from a factory, the little two pieces here are just taken off. The only thing I have a question is, does he have accessories? He is a leader class. There's probably has to be more to this. So does he have his staff? Does he come with, let's say, a matrix of leadership as a bonus? I would really like it at a leader class that they really pack this figure up so that he doesn't have to be a leader class that's like absolutely massive, like a blackout figure, where he could be something that scales better with everybody, as the Studio Series line really should. And he just comes with a bunch of accessories that justify that and tooling. Again, having that removable head sculpt is already one step in that direction. So I'm really curious, but it looks really, really good. And we've been waiting a very, 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 very long time for this to happen because, again, even when he made that design debut in 2009, we just didn't have it. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't right. And now we have this, and I think it looks really, really good. I'm very impressed with what I see here. So hopefully we learn more about it. Chances are, again, in the next couple of days, because we have the Transformer Tuesday on August 16th at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So maybe something will be shown here. Who knows? There's a whole bunch of stuff that is still on the plate that we know through third-party sources, but we don't know officially from Hasbro. So we're going to see what they're going to show off to us. We could get some nice photos. I want to see what that Cybertronian mode looks like because we never really had a good shot at it. So I want to see what that looks like, from an official capacity. Again, price is probably going to be $55.99 leader class. So get your wallet ready for that to complete your movie display. Looks like we finally got Revenge of the Fallen. He's here and he looks good. Now the question is, after this, when are they going to do Masterpiece?